It's not working. Am I live? Hey, I'm on. I'm on. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. We had some technical difficulties today, but we're going to push through. Hello, I'm good. How are you, Quisha? I guess I'm a little late, so we got to wait for the folk to join. Hi, Facebook. Hi, Instagram. Are we on Instagram? Hi, everybody. Come on, come on. Okay, because it is definitely being extra today. Definitely being extra. Wipe on my camera. All right, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Welcome in. Welcome to Hard Conversations with Jeauninè. If you would come in and speak and share the live, I would appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hard Conversations. I want to give some people some more time to jump on. So if you would share the live for me, I would appreciate it. Hello. Welcome to Hard Conversations with Jeauninè. We'll get started in a few minutes. The setback. How's everyone doing today? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't see a lot of people on right now, but I guess I'm a little late, but I do want to get started and jump right in so that I can be out everybody's way. And those who are watching the replay, you can just say, hey, from the replay. Hey, AJ, how are you? We had some technical difficulties, and I don't understand what's going on. Hi, Instagram. I need to go over there really quick. How's everyone doing? Thank you all for coming in and sharing the live. So welcome to Hard Conversations with Jeauninè. Thank you all for joining me on this Monday, September 16, 2024. As you all know, my desire is to embrace, to encourage, to enlighten, to educate, and to empower men and women to be the best versions of themselves. And of course, we use tools, knowledge, wisdom. We do research, whatever we can find with accurate information to pass that along to everyone. So tonight we're continuing in on our conversation in reference to death. And again, as I'm going to say every week, that I know that this is not a subject that everybody is eager to talk about, but it's necessary to talk about in all areas of the conversation. So tonight I wanted to talk about, and I'm not going to be on long, but tonight I wanted to talk about privacy when it comes to death. This is the time that I wish a lot of people would warn, because everybody needs to hear this part. I am sure that something of what I'm going to say today, everybody has been wanting to say. So Jeauninè is going to say it for everybody, okay? Everybody, sorry. I'm going to say it for everybody. So really quickly, everybody knows that I am definitely going to give definitions of what I'm talking about. So let's dive. Hi, who's coming in? If you would speak and share the live for me, I would appreciate it. As I stated, we are continuing our conversation about death. The topic no one wants to talk about, but I have some information that I want to give. As a recap, we talked about how important it is for families to sit down together, uninterrupted, to have conversations about their wishes for everything, right? Basically sitting down and planning out, the color of your casket, who you want to sing, who you want to preach, how you want your obituary to look, who you want listed in your obituary, who you don't want listed in your obituary. So we had conversations about that. We want to be intentional with sitting down, talking to our families, not just talking to our families about the information, but making sure that we have something legally stating, this is what I want, this is the instructions that I'm giving for my family. You can have someone that will be in charge of your will, your executor. That person will ensure that the desires that you have, what you write down, is fulfilled after your passing. And then we also talked about the importance of insurance, the importance of making sure you have beneficiaries, making sure all of that is in writing, okay? Because if it's not in writing, someone could come in and dispute it. It can go to court, and you could be in court for lots of years based on the fact that you did not make sure that your wishes was written down, sealed, having a notary to sign it, having that information intact. So that's important. Your beneficiaries, your will, who you want your children to go to, what provisions that you made for your children in your passing. So all of that information is necessary as a recap. Also, as a recap, I gave out the House of Sinclair, which is my brother's Facebook page, where he is offering some consultation on ways that you can start preparing yourself to have that information written down, to have that beneficiary on there, to have that will, validated that it is a legal document and can be used if needed to be in court or anything of that nature. So you can reach out to him for consultation. It is not free, but you can reach out to him, and he'll definitely give instructions and maybe a checklist on what you need to do in that situation. So very, very important. Please, ma'am, please, sir, get your business in order because, we don't want, your family to have to try to figure it out when we could just have a conversation about it. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Privacy, the definition to privacy. Broadly speaking, privacy is the right to be let alone, or freedom from interference or intrusion. Information privacy is the right to have some control over how your personal information is collected and used. Privacy. Let's give another definition of privacy. What is simply defined privacy, generally speaking, now the other one was broadly speaking, Generally, privacy is the right to be let alone from interference or intrusion. We may hear people say, I don't care about privacy because I don't have anything to hide, but that argument misses many important privacy concepts. Let's talk about that. I believe that none of your business and it's a secret. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. Is two totally different things, but they both are at the discretion of the person, which means if I choose not to tell people something, it doesn't have to be a secret. It could just be none of your business. Really simple. Why am I talking about that? Because when it comes to death, it's this new thing that everybody feels like they are entitled, there go that word, to know information or to get information. As you guys are coming in, please share the live. There are some people that will need to hear this tonight. And Nate, can you at everyone highlight everybody on here, and I'll do the same for my page. So we're talking about privacy tonight when it comes to death. Again, it's not a conversation that people want to have. There's some people who are fearful of it, but at the end of the day, death is a reality. And what we don't want to do is be uneducated about it. And then we have more families having to deal with grief, embarrassment, shame, frustration, worry, aggravation. That's a lot to put on top of that. So we want to talk about privacy. And why is it important? So as I was saying, I think sometimes people get the misconception, and there are some people who get an attitude. Hi, Lady Kim. Hi, Mother Parker. Thanks for joining in. I think that nowadays people are getting attitudes because they feel entitled to information. They feel entitled to know what's going on step by step. They feel entitled to know the every move. And it's shown every day, or shown when someone passes, the amount of questions, like everybody becomes Matlock, the amount of questions that begin to flow to the family. Now, at one time, when there was a passing, the family would be able to have time to reach out to their family members and their loved ones and give them notification, and to even sometimes have time to try to process what's going on, how we're going to address this. Do we need to make an announcement? Because let's talk about that real quick. Someone passing is not necessarily your business. People don't have to tell you that someone passed. Of course they want to, because they probably know that you've had some type of relationship with them, and they want to, of course, include the people that said person loved on, cared about, was in some type of relationship with. But people feel like you gotta tell us, or you have to do this and you have to do that, right? And it's become a huge thing in 2024, 23, 22. It's just this new thing that everybody wants to make this post. Everybody wants to be the first person to say that somebody passed. Privacy means, because once they make the notification, they always say, please allow the family privacy at this time to gather their thoughts, to mourn, to grieve, whatever it is. But privacy, that means that they shouldn't be getting a whole bunch of phone calls. This thing where they just left the hospital and now they got 30 people calling their phone. They can't process what's going on, or even what their next move is, because now they got to answer questions from people that they probably haven't spoken to in years. Privacy is necessary. Again, it's none of your business, and it's a secret is two totally different things, but it's still at the discretion of the person to decide whether they want to indulge that information or not. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, for families, I encourage you to be very careful of who you share the information with. Because even you in 2024 sending a message to somebody asking for prayer for someone can spark a whole big ordeal with now they calling somebody to tell somebody that you called them to tell them to pray. I don't know what's going on, but they just called me to pray. I know that the last time I saw them, they didn't look too good, and I don't know what's going on. Stop that. Let's stop that. This is why I want this one to go viral. Stop that. It's insensitive. It's disrespectful. It's distasteful to call someone, especially if you've heard of a passing, and to question them in that moment. It's disrespectful and it's distasteful. And if you know someone who has done it, or you know people who have done it, go ahead and share them live and tag their name, because we need to be enlightened of how distasteful that is, how disrespectful that is, that people now have to try to figure life out and how to answer all your questions. Don't call the family. Out of respect for them, don't call them. Allow them time to breathe. Allow them time to understand what's going on, because ultimately, once someone passes, it's like your mind goes to a blank space and you don't even know where to start, what to do, what to say. And now to have people ringing your phone, calling you or texting you, asking you a whole lot of questions does not allow proper time for acknowledgement. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. Acknowledgement. Because that's the first part of it. I have to actually acknowledge that this person is actually gone. And acknowledgement can take a long time, right? There is no specific time on anybody's grieving process. We should never put a time on somebody's grieving. Oh, you should be better, or you should feel better. No, we allow people to take their time. You don't know what that relationship consisted of. You don't know what they had to go through to maintain that relationship, or even come back and reconcile the relationship. So there's no specific time on grieving, exclamation point, no specific time. Nor do we want to rush people into hurrying up their process because there's something that you want to know. No, there should be boundaries when it comes to death. There should be boundaries when it comes to someone's passing. Everybody knowing in a moment is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Hi, Nina. How are you? Thanks for joining. So privacy is necessary when it comes to death and someone passing. Your personal feelings, finding out that someone passed, does not give you the green light to start picking up the phone, asking questions, and trying to figure stuff out. Even if you're a close friend, allow the family opportunity to begin to figure things out. Where do they begin? How do they figure things out? It's a process to trying to figure out, okay, who do I call? The job, the family, the close friends, the in-laws. Like, it's so much to do in a little bit of time before everybody feels like they should be knowing some information. Calm down, everybody. Everybody calm down. That is not, you're not privy to that information. No one owes you a phone call. Now, if you're in the family, and when I say in the family, I'm talking about immediate, and those they choose to add on to that. Hi, Nina. No, we were a little late today, Nina. I'm sorry. We start at 7, but we were a little late because we have some technical difficulties. So I'm sorry. You're in time. Take your personal feelings out of it. If they wanted you to know about the details, they would share them with you. Okay? this thing that we have where this entitlement, and entitlement is, I can put it in, I can give examples of people being entitled in every area there is. But when it comes to this part, when it comes to death and someone passing, I feel like some people go an extra mile and you don't have to. You're overstepping your bounds. And you need to wait until they decide they want to tell. Now, let me throw this in here. Even if you do know that someone has passed, if the family says to you, please don't share this information with anyone, that means that no one should be able to go to your Facebook page and see broken hearts. Nobody should look at your page and it say, oh my God, I'm in disbelief. I can't believe this. Oh my, like that's egging things on. My issue with that is this. Say there's a family member that they're trying to get in contact with and they can't for whatever reason, right? And we're doing all of that, and they trying to get in contact, and everybody's posting on Facebook. Now the people see this, and I know of situations where someone's children did not know that he passed, but they found out on Facebook. To me, that is a horrible way to find out that my father passed. And it's because people couldn't keep their mouth closed to say something. Now, I know people may say this. Well, they put on the news when people pass. Yeah, but if you notice, it's coming from their PR or somebody from their family. Either way, a star is in the limelight. Like their whole life is lived out there. So the family making a decision to get post, or TMZ going ahead and make a decision to post. Their job is basically to post about stars' business and their lives. Us in real life, that is not your responsibility to take information that was given to you or shouldn't have been, and you now run off and give it to someone else. It's distasteful and it's disrespectful for the family. Nobody ever thinks about, sometimes when family are getting notices that someone has passed, that is traumatic to them. I know that people who have passed out have injured themselves in passing out from finding out that news. People who have strokes behind it, people who have heart attacks behind hearing that someone passed. And so that's why we should be very careful of how we utilize our voice on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube to then talk about a passing, and the family hasn't even, like you talking about the passing of this person, and the wife hasn't had an opportunity to have a final announcement put out there. Whether you want to or not, it's not your place. Neither is it your right to do it. And it's disrespectful and distasteful. And when I see it, I'm going to put you in a category of being disrespectful and being distasteful to the family and to the legacy of that person. Allow the family time to process it. You are not only way, and I'm going to say this, and y'all can say Jeauninè said it. The only way you are entitled to get on Facebook and say that someone passed is when you're paying for or signing the documentation for their funeral arrangements, for their burial plot, for any expenses that is associated with their passing. When you share before the time, it adds extra trauma. Absolutely. And we have to think about, I know most people don't care, but we have to think about those who do find out and how they're going to find out. If somebody is in a traumatic situation, and like I said, I've heard of people passing out, having strokes, heart attacks, because they found out that their loved one passed away and they had a situation. Well, we don't want to do that as somebody flicking on, Facebook or Instagram, they're at work and they see that or something like that. We want to be mindful in 2024. We want to be intentional about our mindfulness, what we say and what we don't say. We want to be mindful of the respect that we want, but we don't give. Because for me, I would want my family to have the opportunity to properly get themselves together, gather themselves, and then to make the announcement. Because everybody want to know how you passed away. It's none of your business. Unless that person has shared a battle they've been fighting, it's none of your business. Ultimately, and this is what my response is, ultimately, it was their time. God called their name. That's what happened. God said today, that's what happened. There's no other additional information you need. There's no other information you have to get. They're gone. They passed. Hi, Pastor Dance. Unless you can raise a dead, you don't need to ask why someone died. People will say what they want you to know. Absolutely, Pastor Dance. Absolutely. That thing bothers me so much that we have this thing where we want to know why. It's none of your business. If they came on and asked you to pray for them because they were battling with something, and technically that may not even be what closes their eyes. Just because they're battling with something doesn't mean that that's the cause on their death certificate. We have to be mindful that some things is none of our business. If I ask you to pray, I can go into detail if I choose to. But ultimately, if you just say, God, I ask that you would touch Jeauninè in every area of her life, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. If I have a special petition and I want to give that to you, then absolutely okay. But asking somebody intimate details, well, what happened? Well, what did they say? Or what did they do? Okay, so so now what happened? That's none of your business. Ladies and gentlemen, I love everybody, but that is none of your business to ask family members why. If you're not signing on the dotted line at the funeral home, at the burial site, if you are not making sure that they are fully clothed and their hair is cut, they're shaved, their hair is done, their makeup is done, then you have no right asking any questions at all. And please don't give this to me. Well, if I need to pay for it, I can. That's nice. But if you're not, it's still none of your business. Now, y'all know, Jeauninè, I speak what I speak. I don't believe in sugarcoating, as my great-grandfather used to say. I don't believe in pacifying you, because if I pacify you in a moment, pat you on your back and tell you it's okay, that's where you're going to stay. It is not my desire for us to stay here. It's my desire for us to learn and be empowered and educated every day. That means we have to go from somewhere to somewhere. We can't stay here. So it's my desire to educate and enlighten and empower people to do things right, to think about what you would want someone else to do for you. The same goes for any type of family event. Recently, my niece gave birth to my beautiful grandniece, and I congratulated her in private because I told her it's not my news to share. In other words, it's her and her husband exciting news to share, which is ultimately their approval to share because they're private people. Absolutely. Like when I post something about something that's going on in my life, you can feel free to do that. But anything that's happened to me that I let you in on early means that you're special to me, that you have a place in my life that everybody don't. That does not give you insight or the ability to now go share news that I haven't asked you to do or given you approval to do. It's distasteful and it's disrespectful. However, if it was the shoe was on the other foot, you would have a fit for somebody calling your phone asking questions. Well, where they at? How they died? When did they die? It's so crazy to me. And it's disrespectful. And we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to allow the family time to do whatever it is. And if they choose to take 2 weeks to say it, then let them take their 2 weeks to say it. Because ultimately, it's none of our business. Period. It's none of our business to ask questions or to pry and ask why and when. And we need to stop that. This is the other thing. When someone passes, if you don't know what to say and understand, we can make the process harder by what we say to a person. This is Jeauninè's number one pet peeve when it comes to someone passing. Well, you got to be strong. I do not, under any circumstances like that, I do not under any circumstances think that it is a healthy thing to say to someone when someone passes. Do you know how much stress? And you know what? Sometimes we just don't know what to say, so we just say something. I would rather people not say anything at all if you're unsure, because telling me that I have to be strong puts me in a place where I now have to put my grieving over to the side, because now I have to be strong in this moment. When death is it's an opportunity for you to actually have a weak moment. Like, we are entitled to that. And it's not necessarily a weak moment like, it's a moment that I need to let my emotions free in this moment. I have to figure things out. I need to cry. I need to scream. I need to pace. I need to try to figure out however people are able to process grief. Allow them that time, but stop telling them to be strong. Stop it. We put so much on people in that space that is unfair to them. So now I'm telling you, you need to be strong. You need to be strong for your family. So in order for me to be strong, I'm not going to be able to properly grieve, because that's two separate total panels of life. Me being strong means I got to suck up those emotions and do what I need to do. Now, do I feel like we need to make sure that during our grieving process that we allow space to make sure that we do what's necessary? Make funeral arrangements, pick out the casket, figure all of that out. But that's part of the grieving. Like, that's part of the acknowledgement part. But we should stop telling people to be strong in a weak moment, in a hurtful moment. That's like someone being snatched, ripped away from you. Whether we knew that was going to happen, or whether it was a tragic or immediate event, it is not your place to now tell them to be strong in the moment. No, allow them time to grieve. Allow them time to not know what to do. Right? And I understand the whole concept of, you got to be strong for your mother. Well, you got to be strong for your father. And I feel like because of that, we have so many people that has interrupted grieving because they had to stop grieving so that they can be strong for you, so they can make sure you're good, so they can make sure you're good. Meanwhile, they're falling apart. And what I do know about grief is that if it's not handled in a healthy way, it will fester. And that's why we have people walking around today with attitudes and anger issues and frustration and not wanting to be bothered. And one little thing will trigger them. It's not all about the death, but I guarantee you that there are people that still walking around with unhealed wounds because they weren't able to grieve the loved one. They weren't able to process that they're actually gone, because I got people asking me questions from over here, people telling me what I need to do. You got to be strong here. You got to be doing that there. The best thing for us to tell people when we hear about passing is that I'm praying for you. Let me tell you what else you can say. If you need me, please let me know. Another thing, if there's anything that I or my family can do to help you through this process, please let us know. What happened? Tell me from A to Z, where they burying them at, where the funeral at, did they have the life insurance? All of that is none of your business, period. None of your business. If you're not signing on the dotted line and you're not making things happen for that family, you have no right to give the announcement. You have no right to make the phone calls questioning anybody in the family, okay? Anybody in the family. Are there things that go crazy with families when it comes to death? Absolutely, because ultimately, whether we share DNA or not, people will always be people. Just because we was raised together, just because we lived together, don't mean that we continued the morals and the standards and the respect that we had at one time. People grow, people change, they shift, they decide to do other things. Some people get the I don't care attitude. Some people, want to know, want to be involved. So it's different dynamics to different families, but we still need to make sure that we maintain healthy relationship, healthy boundaries, even in death. We have to be careful what we say when we have the opportunity to say it. Because if the person didn't call you for conversation, if they did not call you for mentoring, if they didn't call you for prayer, if they didn't call you because they needed someone to give them advice, you should not be calling them. And if you are calling them, it needs to be, I'm calling to offer my sincere condolences to you and your family. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know. Anything outside of that is a no-no. Zero. Going to social media, putting up the I can't believe, the hearts and the broken hearts and all of this before the announcement is only a buildup. Now everybody got anxiety because we don't know what's going on. We don't know who it is, right? Stop. And again, some people may not have known that doing that was disrespectful and distasteful, and that's why I'm here to assist. But yes, it is disrespectful and distasteful to make the announcement prior to the initial announcement. Yes, it is disrespectful and distasteful for you to go on Facebook or any other social media platform, or even to get on the phone and make a whole bunch of phone calls to tell people that somebody passed. Meanwhile, the family hasn't even left the hospital yet. That's what's crazy to me. The disrespect. And I'm always going to throw this in there where the scripture says that whatever you sow, you're going to reap. I always say that it doesn't necessarily mean that the same thing that you've sown is going to come exactly back like that. Believe me, you're going to have a reaping season. And what you don't want is to be treated the way you treated somebody else. Just because you want to be the first to say something, just because you want people to know that you know them or people to know that you love them. Now everybody got pictures. Now everybody posting pictures. Meanwhile, you haven't spoken to the person in 30 years. Stop. And ultimately, also give people the right to choose to do whatever they want to. That's whether you're a friend of the family or you are family. Because if you choose not to tell me, not to make me aware of it, I have to be okay with that. Well, I'm going to be mad. Of course, I would have wanted to share in it. Of course, I would want to pay my respects. But if you choose not to let me know, I'm not going to fight and beef with you, nor am I going to chase you down to figure something out. Whether I do then see it on Facebook or not. I'm still going to play my position and be in a place of, even if I hear it, my prayers are still there. That's what we need to learn how to do. Use our prayers more effectively instead of using our mouths and our fingers, asking questions and going places and going on Facebook and doing all this stuff. Let's pray for those. If you know somebody's sick, you don't need to know why they're sick. Just pray. God, whatever your will for their life, we ask that you would do that. God, be who you are in their life. God, whatever you ordain for them, let it be. That's our prayer. This whole extra stuff that we're doing is disrespectful and distasteful. And I hope I'm able to say those two words a lot of times because I wanted to get the picture to people that it's disrespectful and distasteful not to allow the family privacy. To be let alone is the definition until they are ready to say something in reference to the family, until they're ready to make the announcement out to everybody. We got to get a little bit better in what we do because ultimately, by being disrespectful and distasteful, that's also light on the person's legacy as well. Even if the person didn't properly plan for their funeral or properly plan for their burial, whatever, even if they didn't properly plan for it, whatever they decided to do, it's still not your right to go faster than the family or to share information that was given to you in private or you overheard information. That is not the time for you to get one on the phone and start telling people. There's some people that I only hear from, and I've told them, listen, if you're not going to call me to have a conversation with me to see how Jeauninè is doing, please don't call me to tell me that somebody passed away. We're going to find out. It's going to be a notice somewhere. Somebody going to say something about it. We have to just be mindful. I just want us to do, if I can say this, and I don't mean any disrespect, but I want us to do death differently. First, we need to acknowledge that it is reality and it is going to happen, period. So one thing we have to understand is that God does what he chooses to do. He does not need our permission to do what he chooses to do. When he laid out our life, he did not need our approval, and in death, he still don't need our approval. He can do what he wants to do when he wants to. This is the caveat to it. We must be prepared. Will we prepare for that phone call? Absolutely not. But if you're doing all that you can for that person to love on them, even if you have to love them from a distance, because what I would never tell anybody is to change their boundaries, okay, with somebody based on, I just want to know this information. No, if you and the person don't get along, you can love them from a distance. We don't have to be connected for me to still love you. If you've done me wrong, I don't got to be upset with you. It was part of the plan. No problem. I forgive you. The access is different. I forgive you, but I don't have to be mean and nasty at all. But boundaries are necessary in every area of life, including death. So I want to enlighten people in the privacy when it comes to death. You will have a state, a city, the world going crazy over hearsay. Stop. You heard this person pass away. You heard, and then my thing is, we think that the family is going to hear about this, right? Whether they're able to pinpoint who started it or not is disrespectful. That they got to hear all this stuff going all over the place, and they're not even really sure of what's going on. But we on Facebook talking about it. We on the phone talking about it. We telling people that the person passed, and there ain't no death notice, no death certificate signed, no nothing. But we just running our mouths. Let's stop that. It's disrespectful. Everybody can say that with me. And it's distasteful. It's disrespectful, and it's distasteful, and it's none of your business. Why they died is none of your business. What they're going to do is none of your business. You'll find the information out if the family chooses to post an announcement. They may not. They may have strict instructions from someone, from their family member, to say, I don't want the information posted. I want this private. I want a private event. Don't tell anybody. You just may go to the page and see that the page is deactivated. Privacy is the right to be let alone, or freedom from interference or intrusion. Please share the live so that the people will see this. Allow families, when death comes, their right to have a moment to process. Allow them the right to have a moment to acknowledge what's happened. Allow them the opportunity to process what needs to be done next. The planning process, the cleaning process, the notifying process. Like everybody wants to know. Meanwhile, we got to call the school, the job, the in-laws, the banks, and everybody feel like they entitled to know so that you can post and put a picture up and stop. It's unfair to the family. And where you may not care, if you care about that person, show their family respect, even if you have to do it in honor of the person, with allowing them time to process when death happens. Allow the family time to process, to acknowledge, to figure it out. Your calls or your text messages need to be encouraging words. I'm praying for you. Not, I know how you feel. Don't do that. Especially if you haven't lost a mother, you cannot tell somebody, I know how you feel. Experiencing death and experiencing the relationships in death, totally different, because you can have a relationship with your mother and this person have a relationship with their mother. It could be two totally different relationships. You are not the judge to say when that person should feel some kind of way, how their grieving process should go. how you know what they're going through. You don't know what they're going through. Don't say, I know what you're going through, because you don't. Say, I'm praying for you. I don't understand the magnitude of what you're feeling right now, but you have my prayers and my thoughts are with you. If there's anything that I can do, please let me know. Even if you just want me to sit and pray with you on the phone, I'll do that. But I'm here for you. And if they decide to call you and you're still unsure on what to say, just listen. Allow them time to get it out. Just listen. And if you don't know what to say in that moment, call on Jesus. I'm praying for you, Lord. That must be tough. It must be a weight. I'm praying that God lifts that. I'm praying that God strengthens you. It's a lot for families. It's a lot for people. And it takes a while for the process of grieving. So 6 months down the line, when you think somebody should have stopped crying or they should be in a different place, they may not be, especially if they're not going and having some type of grief counseling, grief therapy. And I, Jeauninè Simone Boyce, I will always encourage people to go sit on somebody's couch and have a conversation. Whether that's a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, whoever you need to speak to, a life coach, whoever, it's okay that you have a conversation. You need to talk it out. Because if not, you're only piling that on top of everyday issues, Somebody else passes, grief on top of that, because we haven't dealt with it on top of that. And people say, oh, sweep it under the rug. I don't believe that, because what's going to happen is you're going to keep falling over the rug because of how big it is, because you don't want to take a moment to address it. Everybody, and I mean everybody, when it comes to death, and it's a close family member, even a close friend, you need to be able to process grief in a healthy way. Healthy, right? That means that it's important that we live healthy. That means maintaining healthy relationships. Because one of the issues today, why people go so crazy, and I'm about to close, why people go so crazy or so extra when death comes, is because you didn't do what you should have done while the person was living. Now you have to live a life of regrets. Nothing comforts and illuminates like the word of God. Absolutely, Pastor Terrence. If we can't say anything else, go to the word of God. It gives you scripture to give people who are mourning, who are grieving. You could Google it. Google is a great friend today. Google it. If you don't know nothing else to do, send a scripture, send a prayer, be a listening ear. But allow people privacy during their grief, during their bereavement. This topic has been very important to me for so many years. As people know, a lot of people, if you know, maybe some don't. My mother, father actually had 3 children. And I had a younger brother, Brian Kevin Boyce. Was his name, and he was a year younger than me. So this year, 2025, he would be turning 50. And he passed in 1990. I was about to go way too far. He passed in 1990. It was sudden. We did not know. But from that, I don't know, I began to get a passion for, I guess, understanding it better. Because at that time, I was 16 years old. It didn't make sense to me why my brother, who's 15, would pass at such a young age, right? And there was no sickness, immediate sickness that we saw. He was healthy. He was doing good. He was talking and everything. And he went to sleep and didn't wake up. And so that brought about a passion to me, to where I truly, honestly believe that if we understand that death is sure to come, and if we take that and do all that we can in the moments that we're given, it's not about the quantity of years that we have, it's about the quality of what we do within those years. So loving on your family, telling them that you love them, telling them that you care for them. And please understand this. I'm not saying that I want you to go and start beating down your family doors, letting them know that you love them, and they're telling you to get away from their doors. They don't want to speak to you. They're mistreating you or disrespect you. You can still let them know that you love them. I'm not saying that you have to intertwine yourself with drama and mess and foolishness. That I'm not saying at all. You could go look at my boundaries live from last year. I got 2 parts on boundaries, right? Boundaries don't have a DNA connected to it. Boundaries for everyone. There should be boundaries in friendships, boundaries in relationships, in any kind of way. Mother, father, sister, brother, brother, sister, brother, brother. It needs to be boundaries, because that ultimately helps you teach people how to treat you. Because if not, they'll do what they want to do. And if you don't address it, they'll think that you're okay with it, and they will continue. But what I'm saying is that we need to love on people now. You don't know if later on tonight is promised. We don't know. And guess what? We won't have the opportunity to fix it. When I'm in my casket, I won't be able to hear nothing y'all saying. Nothing. So love me in life in order to love me in death. Because if you don't speak to me now, you're not loving on me now, we have no conversation, why would you show up to my funeral? You're not talking to me. Why would you come? Just to be nosy? That is crazy for me. That is crazy. I don't speak to you, but I'm coming to your funeral. Wow. Just because we want to be nosy. Be careful with that. While you're utilizing time to ask people questions and question them on what they're doing, make sure your business is in order. Make sure that you do what you need to do for your family, so that when you do close your eyes, your family has all of the information that they need to have. A full life in one in which God has completed his plan. Absolutely. And he doesn't have to tell us his plan. He doesn't have to give us a couple of days notice. God don't have to do that. And his word is sure. And he's going to stand by his word. And so there is a season for death, and we see it every day, sometimes more than one. It's multiple at one time. But make sure, please, again, share the live to your friends and your family. I did a live last week about life insurance, about beneficiaries. And the week before, my family was on, and we talked about the importance and the necessity of having family conversations in reference to what do you want in your passing, making sure that your life is well planned out, and you put in some about your death, your obituary if you want to. This way you don't have to worry about them including somebody you don't want or excluding somebody that you want, right? You have who you want to sing, who you want to preach, whatever. If we could plan for vacations, if we could plan for life and concerts and all of that, we can surely take time to plan for when we close our eyes, and to make sure that our family doesn't have to add on to their grief, worry, frustration, and any type of drama, because sometimes death brings out the worst in people. And now everybody want a piece of what you had. Meanwhile, you couldn't find them, you didn't see them, they didn't visit you, talk to you, or love you. Listen, privacy, they deserve that. And we owe it to anybody who's dealing with grief, who's dealing with tragedy, bereavement, grief. We need to allow people time to grieve, to process, to acknowledge, to plan. They have to get into that place, and they need that time without interruption, or, as Google said, intrusion. Making phone calls, asking questions is distasteful and disrespectful. Going on Facebook or Instagram or any social media platform, announcing that someone passed prior to their family or prior to getting approval from the family is disrespectful. Asking questions, trying to find out information, that's not your business. If they want you to know, they'll tell you. If you're not paying for anything and you aren't giving lakhs and thousands of dollars to help the family in need, you have no business asking. And even if you wanted to donate something, you still don't have a right to ask. Let them tell you. Because if that's the case, then you're trying to bribe them for information. And if I was the family, I would tell you to keep your money. I love everybody. And it is my desire, as I say in the beginning of all my life, my mission is to embrace, to encourage, to enlighten, to empower, and to educate men and women to be the best versions of themselves. I am the accountability coach. I am the person who's going to hold you accountable for what you say, for what you write, for what you want to do, for your desires. I am the person that's going to push you as far as you want to go. However, I'm also going to be the person to tell you that's not a good idea. You was wrong in that situation. Maybe you should do it like this. Give you the tools that you need to do things in a better way. But I am the truth teller. I'm going to let you know what's needed for you to know and not hold you back in a place of ignorance. That's not me. So thank you all for joining tonight. I am over my time. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for coming in and for joining the live. I will be back on next Monday at 7 o'clock, same place, same time, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much again for all of you joining me tonight. Again, I know this is a touchy subject, but it is my purpose and my mission to educate even on the hard topic, to have those heart conversations about everything. I love you all, and there's nothing that you can do about it. It's not how you love me that affects my life, but it's how I love you that affects my life. So I love you all. Thanks all for watching. See you soon. Bye.